get it going. It's been a while since we've been here, but we're back for the first episode of WCW 2000 since Uncensored the night before. And now we are at the end of the month of March as we now head to Spring Stampede in the month of April. And the road to the Great American Bash continues. As far as where this series goes, honestly, I don't know. I don't know how far the series is going to go, but what I do know is that how far it goes depends on you. But with that being the case, let's jump into this episode of Monday Nitro. Now, the first pre-show match kicks off with Meng against White Trash Johnny Webb. And Johnny Webb loses to Meng in the first pre-show match of the night here on Nitro. The second pre-show match sees Dale Torborg in what I'd like to call a tryout for the former Kiss Demon against Lash LaRue in the second pre-show match of the night. And honestly, though he got a 21, he still got, I'd like to say he did relatively decent. He may not have done good, but he did decent. And now we move to the opening segment of the show with WCW Commissioner Roddy Piper standing in the ring with the Outsiders, Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner, the NWO. And Roddy makes it clear that at Spring Stampede next month, Scott Steiner will step into the ring and defend his WCW World Heavyweight title against Hulk Hogan. That's right, for the first time ever, Hulk Hogan will step into the ring, not just against one of the members of the New World Order, but Scott Steiner, and it will be for the WCW World's Championship. And Piper also announces that tonight, Kevin Nash will be featured in the main event against the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Dean Malenko, in his first title defense against the former champion, Juventud Guerrera, defends his title against Juvi in the opening match tonight, and Dean Malenko gets the victory, retaining his Cruiserweight Championship. And then we move to the second match of the night, with Stevie Ray going up against Chris Kanyon, and Stevie Ray gets the victory over Kanyon. Keeping things strong for one half of the group formerly known as Harlem Heat, because now the question remains, what happens to Stevie Ray and Booker T without Harlem Heat? Well, over the next few weeks you will see the clear direction for both men, but I have to say this, that you will probably, there's a reason why I didn't do it tonight, because I'm not sure if I want to do it, or if I want to make it something, or if I don't want to make it something. But in the tag team match last night at Uncensored, Booker T got hurt. I don't think either one of the Outsiders got blamed for the injury, but in storyline, I could make it where they do. And this could lead to one of the Outsiders getting a pay-per-view match against Stevie Ray at Spring Stampede. Because Booker T will not be back in time for Spring Stampede because he will be missing at least a month of time. And now we move forward with the Filthy Animals in the ring, and they call out Chronic and issue their they issue their rematch against Chronic, telling Chronic that they want a rematch for the tag team titles at Spring Stampede. And Bryan Adams and Brian Clark both accept Mysterio and Kidman's challenge to face them once again for the WCW tag team titles that Bryan Adams and Clark won this past last night on pay-per-view at Uncensored, as Adams and Clark were one of I want to say 3 guys that won New Hardware last night, as Fit Finlay won the television title, Chronic won the tag team titles, and as you saw earlier in the show, Dean Malenko is the new Cruiserweight champion. And now we go to some tag team action with David Flair and Crowbar going up against La Parka and Kaz Hayashi, and Kaz and La Parka get the win over Crowbar and David Flair. And now we move on. Diamond Dallas Page is standing by with Mean Gene Okerlund. And DDP talks about last night going up against Scott Steiner for the WCW World Heavyweight title, and talks about how that's not his. Talks about how he basically talks about adversity and how losing last night may have been a setback, may have been something that any ordinary person would have let beat them, but not Diamond Dallas Page. He talks about how a year ago, at the age of 42 years old, he became world champion for the first time in his career. And he won the match in a match featuring names like Ric Flair and Sting and Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. Even though Randy was a referee, Randy was still in the match. And he did it at 42 years old. He proved everybody wrong. And just as he's in the middle of a thought, right from behind comes the American Nightmare and attacks Diamond Dallas Page, ramming him face first into the chain link fence behind the interview position. Luckily, the interview position did not come down on Diamond Dallas Page, but the beating inflicted on Page by American Nightmare shows that there is some sort of, for whatever reason, American Nightmare wanted to try and injure Diamond Dallas Page, and he very much almost did in this attack in the interview position. But the attack could have been worse had certain things gone wrong and not gone right. Well, I guess you could say that about a lot of things, but either way. Now we continue on as Buff Bagwell goes up against Mike Rotunda, and Buff Bagwell gets the victory. Why? Well, because Buff Bagwell needs positive momentum more than Mike Rotunda does, so that's why. Because I value Mike Rotunda to the like of Scott Norton back in 1998, because both Mike Rotunda and much like Scott Norton was when he worked in WCW, both men are also working in New Japan currently. Well, what I mean is, when Scott Norton was with WCW, he also worked in New Japan, just like Rotunda is now. So if I want to, I could always let Rotunda go and let him just go work in New Japan. So it doesn't really matter to me how good he is based on momentum. But either way, we take this video and it's time for highlights of the pay-per-view last night. And the main focus of the package is spending some time with Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan in their segment in the ring with Roddy Piper. And Hogan's segment to end the show with Scott Steiner, his face-off. And now we continue on with Sid Vicious and Road Warrior Animal going one-on-one. And the Psycho 1 got the victory over the Road Warrior. Unfortunately, the match kinda sucked due to the fact that Animal and Sid Vicious don't click. But either way, Sid gets a solid win over the Road Warrior. And now we move forward with Bam Bigelow standing by with Mean Gene Okerlund. And Bam Bigelow talks about how he is the most dominant force in the WCW, and he proved it last night when he stood toe-to-toe with the hardcore legend and won. And now he's calling anybody else out who doesn't agree with Bam Bigelow, and that he is not just the greatest hardcore champion in WCW history, but the greatest champion and the only reason that this title means a damn thing. I will say this, that looking at it, I regret making a champion versus champion feud take place between Norman Smiley and Eddie Guerrero, when I would have been better off having Bam Bigelow finish his feud with Terry Funk, and then go into a feud with Eddie Guerrero, champion versus champion. Because then that would have added credibility to both titles. Especially Eddie, if I had him beat Bam, because of the fact that Bam doesn't typically lose. And when he loses, because it's so rare, or it's been so rare this year especially, that whoever beats him gets an extremely credible win because of how rare Bam loses. And no, that's not why I did it, necessarily. That's not why I've made Bam undefeatable. It's because, partially, Goldberg. Goldberg's the reason why I've made Bam Bigelow partially unbeatable. So, because Goldberg is coming back in 2 months, and though he's going to go back into a feud with Scott Steiner, he needs somebody before. By that I mean a match, not a feud. But either way, we move to the broadcast position now, as Mike Today and Norman and Bobby Heenan talk up the rematch between Norman Smiley and Dave Finlay next week on Nitro. And now we move to the main event, where Ric Flair goes one-on-one against Kevin Nash, and the Nature Boy gets the victory over Big Sexy in the main event of Nitro. Not a bad match either. In total, I guess, we increased our popularity in 23 regions, and unfortunately we lost popularity in one region with a final rating of a 74. I mean, what a difference a season makes, because if I got a 74 in the Invasion, in the Invasion season, I would have lost I would have lost popularity in 23 regions rather than gained it. But that's where WCW is different, and that's why I like WCW and am still doing it, But either way, let me stop talking and let me ask you what you think. If you let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you like the series in the direction that I'm going? And if you want to see anybody come in to the WCW, let me know down in the comment section below, because feedback is always welcomed and appreciated. But if you don't want to leave a comment, you can always leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. Till next time, later.